Okay, so practically speaking, though, how does that apply here to the United States? For example, you're talking about public ownership. Uh, so give some concrete examples of that. How about public ownership of something like Amazon, or or the nationalization of oil, or whatever? You understand what I'm getting at there?
Yes. So first of all, just to look at what already we see, what we already see through some form of public ownership. I mean, we cannot have genuine public ownership on the basis of capitalism, because in reality, the capitalist system is such that as I said, the top extremely rich people, they control society, which means they own all the corporations, the resources. They own practically every square inch of the planet, and they are also, because of their disproportionate wealth and power, that also means that the vast majority of the political systems are under their control. So in the United States, both the Democratic and Republican Party are represented, even despite their superficial differences, are both dogged representatives of the capitalist class. And so the institutions, the criminal justice system, all of these are set up to protect the wealth of the capitalist state, not of ordinary people. It's meant to protect billionaires from the anger of working class people. So in that context, it is difficult to point out specific actual examples of actual public ownership, because you can't have that under capitalism. We need to overthrow capitalism in order to make that happen. However, having said that, I think there are aspects today which have been won, victories that have been won through militant labor action in the past, that we can see examples of actually working for working people. So, for example, one of the victories of the whole period of militant labor action in the 30s and 40s was the New Deal. The New Deal was not something that FDR, graciously handed to the working class out of his benevolence. The New Deal was a concession from the capitalist class, wrested from them, wrenched from them by militant labor movements, especially the 1934 Minneapolis General Strike, which was actually led by Trotskyist labor leaders, by Marxist labor leaders. But as part of that New Deal, what did we win? We won many things. The working class won many things. We won, for example, publicly owned affordable housing, much of that which has been destroyed by now. But my point is that you even under capitalism, you can see when there's militant working class action, you can actually win something that capitalism otherwise doesn't provide, which is affordable, high quality housing that was actually available to us, a proportion of working class people. And that meant that housing, those homes were not meant as sources of profit for a few billionaires and multimillionaires. It was meant to be rent controlled. It was meant to be affordable. By law, if you were a tenant in those publicly affordable homes, you could not be charged any more than 30% of your income. So it was by definition affordable. So that's a concrete example of what is possible. And yes, in terms of what it would look like for Amazon, for example, to be taken into democratic ownership, absolutely, Amazon needs to be taken into democratic ownership. All the big corporations need to be. And what it would look like concretely, just a couple of things to mention. First of all, absolutely the first starting point would be the exploitation of the workers at Amazon would come to a complete standstill. The exploitation would be ended, because the whole point of exploitation, and it is grotesque, it is Dickensian, the exploitation that goes on of Amazon warehouse workers, where workers are literally dying on the shop floor because they are not even given bathroom breaks. They are not allowed to have ambulance services there to take them into, for treatment because of the heart problems they have due to overheating, due to overexertion, due to carrying boxes all day long. All of that would end. And in fact, democratically, the working class could agree that we don't want any section of our workforce to be exploited. We actually want to run this company for the good of society, which includes the good of the workers.